Cenk is polling in the Democratic presidential primaries at 0%, nothing. He has a greater likelihood of being elected the new king of France. And don't interrupt me, please. And the reason is that the American people are decent. They understand that Cenk's anti-Semitism, which he has voiced on your show repeatedly.
Yes, go ahead, more lies. Go ahead.
You know, I've spent my life debating people. Whenever someone starts using personal names and screaming like a lunatic, they're losing the debate. Let me remain factual.
You're the one who made up things.
The Palestinians, you don't care about Arab children. You are a Jew hater, defined as someone who only wants to lie and say that the Jews are genocidaires. And don't try to cancel.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about this truly fascinating clip that I think really shows you guys exactly how the left responds when confronted with facts that they cannot refute in a debate. Now, this clip that I gotta show you guys takes place on Piers Morgan's show. It is a debate between Rabbi Shmuley and Cenk Uygur, who is running for president of the United States. Okay, laughably. Okay, Cenk is running for president. And Cenk is going to lose his mind and go into an absolute meltdown, crying racism and bigotry after being confronted with facts from this rabbi about the conflict between Israel and Palestine. Now, before I get into it, I just want to say this. I am praying for peace and the innocent civilians on both sides of the conflict. There are Muslims, Christians, and Jews who are losing their lives in this conflict. And I do think it's a terrible thing, what is happening right now in the Middle East. And I think that the debates are necessary, right? And I think that Piers Morgan is doing a good job at platforming both sides and allowing both sides to present their arguments and to have the debate in public, okay? So the problem is, though, is that when you have people like Cenk on the show, he kind of ruins the spirit of debate by, again, melting down and crying bigotry and racism because he can't respond to the points that his opponent presented in the debate. Take a look.
Yes, go ahead, more lies. Go ahead.
You know, I've spent my life debating people. Whenever someone starts using personal names and screaming like a lunatic, they're losing the debate. Let me remain factual.
You're the one who made up things.
The Palestinians were offered a state in 1936 in the Peel Commission. They rejected it. They were offered a state in 1947, the UN Partition Plan. They rejected it. They were offered a state in 1967 after Israel conquered Judea and Samaria and the West Bank. They rejected it. They were offered a state in 2000, Yasser Arafat, Ehud Barak. They rejected it. They were offered a state with Ehud Olmert 2008. They rejected it. Israel unilaterally withdrew from Gaza in 2005, and they did not create a state. In fact, where were you, Cenk, when you say that you care about Palestinian children, when Hamas stole the highest rate of per capita international foreign aid, larger than the Marshall Plan, from Palestinian children, did not build schools for them, did not build hospitals, took all the money to buy bombs and to build a network of tunnels, which is larger than the New York subway system. Where were you then? Why did you only come up now? In fact, when Bashar al-Assad killed 600,000 children, Arab children, when he gassed them with mustard gas, my organization took out full-page New York Times ads to protect them from sarin gas. Where were you then? You don't care about Arab children. You are a Jew hater, defined as someone who only wants to lie and say that the Jews are genocidaires. And don't try to cancel me and say that I shouldn't be on. You're not a producer of this show. Because you are ignorant of the facts and ignorant of the history does not mean that you can cancel my voice.
Cenk, your response. Okay, so first of all, this guy is a full-blown bigot. He's one of the most racist people I have ever seen, does not value Palestinian lives at all. And everything he said about me is 100% untrue. I was vicious in my criticism of Bashar al-Assad. I've criticized Hamas over and over again, and I think what they did in the attack against Israel was reprehensible. But for God's sake, how long are you going to occupy these people? For me, The idea of Israelis and Palestinians or Muslims or Jews being different is absurd. Those are just stupid labels that we put on people. They're all human beings. I value the Israeli life just as much as I value the Palestinian life. We're all human. Stop using these nonsense labels
Cenk, let me ask you a
kill
question.
each other.
Cenk,
and all this guy wants to do is more murder of Palestinians.
Cenk, let me ask
when
you.
are you going to let them go?
Cenk, let me ask you.
Pierce, may I
This propaganda, hold on.
You know, Cenk, you and I are almost the same age, and I'm actually quite worried for how upset you get on TV. You got to protect your health. You're just kind of losing it. Now, calm down.
Because I'm upset that
you
keep advocating
when
for
you
the
keep
murder
on
of
saying,
civilians.
Cenk, you have
like
to
a
stop
terrorist.
yelling. You have to stop screaming, and you need to know the facts. The Palestinians were offered a state 7 times, and they rejected it 7 times. Bill Clinton told Yasser Arafat in 2000, you have made me a failure as president because Israel was giving you 97% of Judea and Samaria and the old city of Jerusalem. And Ehud Barak even offered the Temple Mount, the holiest site in Judaism, and the Palestinians rejected it. You simply don't know the history. Read a book. In fact, read a Wikipedia article before you get on TV.
Yeah, so you're saying that you heard that. Okay, now the point of this video is not to get into the details about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, okay? More so than it's about the fact that Cenk, while I understand why he's very emotional, like he's very emotional about a lot of subjects. I understand the emotion. You lose a debate when you start screaming that your opponent is a bigot and a racist instead of actually addressing the argument that your opponent is making, right? Because I can understand why Cenk would be upset. I understand why a lot of people are so emotional about this issue, right? But what Cenk did really showed that he probably was not very well prepared to actually have this debate, and that is why he defaulted to screaming and shouting and calling his opponent a bigot and a racist instead of addressing the actual argument. Because the Rabbi did present what appears to be a pretty solid argument about how the Israelis offered the Palestinians a peace agreement, their own state, multiple times, okay, and the Palestinians rejected it. Now, again, here's the thing. Cenk, if he actually was prepared for this debate and he knew what he was talking about, he could have refuted that in the sense that from the Palestinian perspective, he could have presented this argument. He could have said, well, for example, one of the peace agreements, like the negotiations that was going on under the Clinton administration at Camp David, they could say, well, the Palestinians didn't feel like that peace offering was an actual fair deal. And this is why they rejected the deal for X, Y, and Z reasons, mainly having to do with the division of land in the West Bank, Israel's definition of what the West Bank is, and whether or not they would actually give up some of the land that they had built settlements on, right? Instead of going into the details in regards to why the Palestinians rejected these peace deals from Israel in regards to having a 2-state solution, no, Cenk can't do that, right? He doesn't address that point because he doesn't have a counter argument for it. He doesn't really know. And he just melts down into crying racism and bigotry, right? Which is a classic tactic from the left. Okay, this is why debating the left is basically pointless, right? Because when they can't argue somebody's point, instead of just conceding that, you know what, I don't have enough information to actually give you a counter argument. No. It's you're racist, you're a bigot, right? Because he can't really refute the guy's points. Now, again, if Cenk actually knew what he was talking about, if he actually really knew the history, he actually could refute some of these points that the guy was saying. Because in my opinion, I think that the conflict is much more nuanced and complicated than just, well, the Israelis offered the Palestinians peace deals 5 or 6 times, and the Palestinians, you know, they didn't want this generous peace deal that Israel offered them, because from the Palestinian perspective, the peace deals weren't really all that generous or really all that fair. That could have been an easy counter argument, regardless of whether or not you agree or disagree with it, right? I'm just giving you the other side of perspective. The point is that Cenk can't even present that because he doesn't know it, right? He doesn't know it. And then on top of that, so when he doesn't know, he just melts down to, well, you're racist and you're a bigot. Now, again, this is a guy that wants to run for president of the United States, okay? And he talks about Trump's temperament, right? Trump's attitude, Trump's ego, how Trump handles himself, and Trump controlling his emotions. But every time you look, Cenk proves to be an overly emotional egomaniac. Now, again, I understand. I get it. From a certain perspective, I understand people on both sides and why they're passionate about the issue. Why they're passionate about the fact that they feel like their people or the side that they support is losing lives, right? I get it. I understand it, right? And this is part of the reason why I just kind of step away from it, because in my opinion, you're going to get flamed no matter what you say, right? If you actually try to take a nuanced perspective on this subject, which again, this subject is not black and white. It is probably one of the most nuanced conflicts in modern times, right? I'm not sure if either side can claim in good faith that they're acting in good faith 100%, okay? And that one side is 100% right and the other side is 100% wrong. I don't think it's possible in this conflict, to be quite honest with you. But what you have here in regards to the debate around this topic, instead of it being a nuanced debate about the history of the conflict, what happened, you know, the arguments from both sides and how they feel, it seems like a lot of these debates kind of just boil down to both sides calling each other bigots. Well, you're Islamophobic if you don't agree with me. Well, you're anti-Semitic if you don't agree with me. And even the rabbi at the beginning of this accused Cenk of being anti-Semitic, and it's like, that's unnecessary, right? Just because somebody disagrees with you doesn't make you anti-Semitic, right? I mean, the point of this video is really both sides do this, okay? And it's silly to me. It really is. Well, you're Islamophobic if you disagree with me, or you're anti-Semitic if you disagree with me is silly. It really is, okay? It doesn't actually really get to the heart of the issue and trying to educate people on the topic so that they can choose or, you know, figure out how they want to feel about it, right? So again, you have the rabbi accusing Cenk of being an anti-Semite or anti-Semitism. And Cenk, as he was getting his butt whooped, because that's what was happening here, he resulted to that, right? He resulted to, you know, I'm going to shout, act like a lunatic, act like a maniac, call somebody a bigot, call him racist, right? Because, again, this guy is presenting facts, okay, that, again, I will admit there's more nuance and context needed behind this guy's facts. Cenk's job is to present that nuance, but he can't. So that's why he results to calling people bigots and racists as a counter argument. And that just shows you that you're losing the debate, right? Once you start calling people bigots and racists, right, and boohoo and telling people to shut up and acting like a maniac, you have lost the debate, okay? You've lost the debate. And again, Cenk, in my opinion, you know, hey, to a certain extent, I understand why both sides are super emotional, right, about the issue. So I'm not even blaming him for being emotional, but it's almost like, bro, all your criticisms of Trump is about his demeanor and how he carries himself and how he is bombastic and, you know, all this other stuff, right? All these things that he criticizes Trump for. It's like, bro, you're exhibiting these exact same attributes. Like, you're a loose cannon. Like, you're literally a loose cannon, okay? How can somebody like you have the temperament, because again, this is what they criticize Trump for all the time, his temperament. How can you have a temperament to be president of the United States if you can't even have this debate with somebody that you disagree with without melting down and calling people bigots and racists simply because you can't give a counter argument to facts that they presented? How is this presidential? How is this presidential? Now, again, we know that his presidential campaign is a joke. So, again, it's not like he's seriously running for president. But, again, I just find it so fascinating how this man, in his characterization of Trump, all his criticism of Trump, is almost like he embodies all these things, right? It's almost like he's projecting, right? He's projecting, when he criticizes Trump, the characteristics that he embodies as a person, right? He has zero control over his emotions, and just seeing him lose his mind all the time really is embarrassing. It really is. Stick to the argument, right? Stick to the facts. You don't need to call people bigots and racists in order to win an argument. In fact, again, when you start doing that, you basically lost, right? You're basically showing that, hey, I lost, okay? So Again, that was an interesting debate. I encourage anybody, everybody to watch the full thing. It got pretty heated. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.